Welcome to the January 25th, 2018 episode of Reactive Consciousness, our in-depth podcast about what happened this week in our lives. I'm your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And PyroJackFrost.
So, the guys wanted to talk this week about a lot of Nintendo stuff that came about last week that I thought was pretty cool, and a really cool idea for a retrospective here. So, I first wanted to go over the eminent demise of the Wii shop. So, I don't know about you guys, but I always like a lot of, independent games and little games like this. This was really, the first place where you saw stuff like this before, Steam really got into it. And Xbox Live really did have some of that stuff, but it was more... it was less refined, I think, in its beginning states. This was, really cool, fun little games that were pretty fun. I first want to... I do have, basically, a top 10 here. But did anybody want to mention anyone that wasn't on my top 10 before I get into it?
No, I just wanted to mention that I haven't played... At least on the Wiiware version, I haven't played many of these games, but I do agree that I really like how a lot of these systems have given smaller studios, the chance of making games and getting this much publicity, but also that larger companies are taking more chances with small stuff like this.
Yeah.
So you'll see a common theme in my top 10 of sorts here, in that a lot of the games are either very experimental and would not have been given a shot otherwise, or are a successor in one way or another to something that's older. So I'm, of course, a big fan of these things, and I was trying to highlight games that were either really good for a specific reason on the Wii in particular, or really didn't have any other kind of port elsewhere. So I think it's important that you pick up these games while you still can. And you could do it on the Wii or the Wii U, preferably the Wii U, because you can use HDMI with the Wii U. It looks better. So I think it's important to pick these up before they completely disappear. So I'm just going to get on with it. My absolute favorites, and I think are absolutely essential, are the Konami Rebirth games. There are 3 of these.
Are those... this is just me asking a question about these. Are these new games or just
Yes.
remakes of older games?
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
okay.
Well. Contra is absolutely new, but wasn't Castlevania a remake of the Game Boy game or something?
Yes, but it's so much of a remake that it doesn't even resemble the old game, except for a couple enemies.
Okay.
The level structure is completely different. You could play both games as completely different games.
Okay.
He's right in saying that Castlevania Rebirth, Castlevania The Adventure Rebirth, is a remake of Castlevania The Adventure for the Game Boy, but really in story and character only. Everything else about it is a complete remake. And I might also mention that all 3 of these were the last official entries in these series.
That sounds so sad.
Yeah, so this was except for
Castlevania. We got Castlevania Pachinko bullshit.
Yeah, fuck off. I think this was the last Japanese made Castlevania game. All 3 of these games were made by M2, which I've talked about in the past, who are masters at emulating. They make the best emulations of any games. You could basically say that their emulation may even be better than the original in a lot of ways, because they add a lot of features.
By the way, for real, even though the West didn't get this, did Castlevania Rebirth Adventure come before or after that Light Gun arcade game?
That came after.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. This was the last Castlevania before the 3DS Lords of Shadow game and Lords of Shadow 2. So Lords of Shadow 2 is the absolute last Castlevania game that was made before Pachinko. But this is like the last Japanese made one.
Yeah.
So the arcade game would have been made, I think, directly before it. So the last Gradius game that was ever made was made there, and also has a really neat story. Most Gradius games don't have much of a story except for the MSX games.
I didn't even know that there was a Rebirth Gradius.
So yeah, that was the last one to be released, and also kind of ties the Konami like universe together. Like it actually like
really.
Yes, and so does Contra. So Contra Rebirth is quite possibly the best Rebirth game, and also my favorite WiiWare game, probably of all time.
Like, it's hilarious.
It is, if you are a fan remotely of run and gun games or Contra games at all, it is one of the absolute pinnacles of the genre. It's fantastic, and as you increase difficulty, the game changes. It's not even like more bullets. Like the enemy patterns are different, and they behave completely different. Yeah.
At one point, I remember the llamas. It's certainly more bullets.
so there's the game has a fantastic sense of humor. The last few Contra games had a really good sense of humor about them, like Shattered Soldier, and then the game after that, which was really funny. It was Neo Contra, was even funnier. There was a point where you were like running on top of like helicopter blades. It just got ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like, get out of here. And in Contra,
you're riding on fucking dinosaurs at one point. It's just ridiculous.
And I think in Rebirth, aren't you like holding onto missiles and jumping, like flying missiles and jumping from one to another? It's like, get the hell out of here. And of course, it's Contra.
Ridiculous.
So like with one arm while you're firing your gun with the other, it's like, dude.
And you're fighting a big, gigantic missile that keeps like splitting off into tinier missiles, like while you're like fighting it. But like the absolute funniest like level is you're on like a highway, and it starts off pretty normal. Like you're on you're like jumping from car to car and moving forward, kind of like, you know, in Sunset Riders when you're hopping on like
the cattle,
Well, it also has a lot of references to previous Konami games, mind you. There's even the girl that you can hit in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game. Like,
Jesus.
Like you can hit her and she's like cowering on her skateboard. She's the only bystander in the entire game, and she shows up in the background of
That's
one of
bizarre.
It's so funny. Like these people really loved Konami games and everything about them. There's even like a character called Pliskin, like as in
Playable.
Pliskin.
Yeah.
It's just it's a love letter to Konami, and like it ties all the Konami games kind of together into one stupid universe.
That's pretty awesome.
It's amazing, but what I was getting to is when you're hopping from car to car, all of a sudden you see a sign that's like llama crossing, and you're like, what? And like all of a sudden you're hopping on robotic llama to robotic llama, and they're like galloping and getting destroyed constantly by like this truck that's ramming behind you and chasing you.
And you could take off their heads too for no reason.
And then in hard mode, it even gets more ridiculous. The llamas start bombarding you with lasers. And you do not expect that. You do not expect that. They turn their heads around. You're like, whoa, I've never seen this shit. And then they start like blasting you. It's so funny.
And then you fight a robot ninja throwing shurikens everywhere.
Oh, yeah. It's fantastic. It's really, really good.
And they also have bad English, like on purpose, like bad translations.
I'm a Contra. You're a Contra.
Yeah, we're all Contras. It's like, I don't even know what that means.
Like a Contra is like an event. Like it's not it's not a thing you can be. But anyway, it's amazing. It has a lot of unlockable character. It has 2 unlockable characters. It's And I should also say that all three of these games were done in a 16-bit style, so they all look like they could have been on like the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, this
maybe
is not
slightly
PS2
better.
Contra.
Oh wow.
Maybe slightly better, but they're all pixel art.
Yeah, they're too good to be Super Nintendo, but yeah, it's in that style.
It's really good. Definitely, if not download, all three of them, which they definitely deserve it. But Contra, like, if you love Contra at all, definitely pick it up because it's basically like a new Contra 3, but even better, if you ask me. It's so good. I also want to mention the art style games. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of these.
So I've heard of Cubello, I think, but I think that's the only one.
So one of the things that I think that Nintendo does the best is mini games. I love the WarioWare series, and I love any. Is good.
Yeah, it is.
Rhythm Heaven, like any game where they have rap. Even the I know these are made by HAL, but they're made by Hudson, but the Mario Party games are still a lot of fun. Like Nintendo mini games are a ton of fun.
The mini-game portion of Mario Party games are
fun. That's what I mean.
Yeah. Well, and even in WarioWare, they would have crazy stuff. Like, play the first level of Super Nintendo Star Fox, and it just, like, blew my mind at the time.
So, the story behind these are that Nintendo came out with a bunch of mini games that were released on Game Boy Advance called the Bit Generation series. They were only released in Japan, and they were made by Q Games before they made the Pixel Junk games. And those guys used to be Argonaut, who made Star Fox games.
Wait,
just to give you an
Star
idea.
Fox people made Pixel Junk?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. They made these games to be compact mini games that were released on cartridge. So they were released at like something like 10,000 yen, which is like $10, or 1,000 yen. I'm sorry, 1,000 yen.
I was gonna say 10,000 is not $10.
It's $100. Yeah. So 1,000 yen. They were released at basically $10, and they were a lot of fun. They were really. Just stylish, really neat games. There were 2 series of them. Several of them were remade for DSi and Wiiware. So the DSi ones are still on the 3DS shop, luckily, so you don't have to rush to get those. Those are still on the 3DS shop if you want them. But the Wiiware ones are, I'll list them. Cubello Light Tracks, which was my favorite because it was kind of like a Tron kind of deal, kind of like the light cycles. Orbient, Rotohex, and Rotozoa. Now, several of those were actually 3 of them in particular were remakes of Bit Generation games on the GBA, so they were even better versions of those. Very stylish, awesome, neat looking, almost like an iOS game would look like, like an Apple piece of software would look like that kind of style. But like they obviously play well for the hardware. Definitely recommend picking those up because they're really great. This one's a bit of an oddity, but I had to mention it. And unfortunately, you probably won't be able to purchase it. It was a giveaway on Nintendo Club.
I remember this.
Or Club Nintendo. It's Doc Lewis's Punch-Out. So there were only a couple games that were exclusive to Club Nintendo. This one and a simulation of one of Nintendo's old toys, the Super Hand, which was like this accordion hand toy that Gunpei Yokoi designed, which was a lot of fun. But this one was really neat because it basically gave you another fight in the Wii Punch-Out game against Doc Lewis, and he's probably the hardest.
He's rough.
Boss you have to fight, and there's like a couple different modes in there.
It's a lot of fun. I played a bit of it at your place back in the day, and we beat round 1 pretty easily after getting his pattern down. Round 2 took a couple of tries, but round 3, like, he just one-hit KOs you.
Yeah, no, he just wrecks you and really proves himself to be like the trainer.
The best part is, how in regular Wii Punch Out. Sometimes with interludes, he'll talk about eating chocolate.
Yeah.
Like he'll have weird lines. Like, "What's your favorite flower?" "Mine's chocolate." Ha ha ha. It's like, what? But like in the Doc Lewis fight though, at one point if he gets low health, he'll step back and take out a chocolate bar, and if you let him eat it, he recovers a lot of health. But
Huh.
if you punch it out of his hand, he drops it,
And he gets
but then
mad.
he gets mad, and you're like, "Oh shit!" He just like wails on you.
Yeah, so that's really awesome. If you definitely download that while you still have the chance, if you had ever purchased it in the past. Another one is Yumi and the Cubes. Now, I haven't played this one in particular, but I've heard it mentioned a lot. So this was the last Kenji Eno game before he passed away. The creator
that's
of
the guy who made D.
Enemy Zero, D2, and a lot of other influential games. It's a puzzler that is pretty fun, from what I understand, but I don't have much experience with it. So take my recommendation there with a grain of salt. I've pretty much played all the rest of these, but this one I heard was good. So
he's got some offbeat games.
Yeah,
I think Old Man Stompy would want to tell the audience to take all these game recommendations with a grain of salt.
I've actually played like pretty much all of these. So the next is so I grouped these series together. There was a bunch of remakes by Hudson that basically remade TurboGrafx 16 games. Because the TurboGrafx 16 Virtual Console games were selling really well.
So was there a TurboGrafx 16 Bomberman?
Many. There were 3 or 4
I'm sad
of them.
that there's not a Bomberman on this list.
Oh, that's why it's not listed. It's not listed because it's not an exclusive.
Gotcha.
But I'll get to that. So Alien Crush Returns is basically like almost like a sequel to the original Alien Crush, which was one of the best video pinball games of the 16-bit era. Its sequel on the TurboGrafx 16, Demon's Crush or Devil Crush, was even better. But this game is really great. It has 3D graphics and improves the game quite a bit to the point where it's pretty much a sequel. They also made the very last Star Soldier game called Star Soldier R. I'm a big shmup fan, and I am a huge Star Soldier fan, and especially the ones on the TurboGrafx 16. All of them are really good. It's Star Soldier, Super Star Soldier, Blazing Lasers, Alien, Soldier Blade, and Final Soldier. Those are all really great games. They're all fan-freaking-tastic. Some of the best shmups that I've ever played. And this is the successor to them. It's a little disappointing that they didn't really give you a one-player mode in this game to run through all the levels. It's a score attack game or a caravan game where you basically play as long as you can and try to get as many points as you can within 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But it's a lot of fun. The last one that they made is actually really terrible, and do not buy it. Is Adventure Island: The Beginning. This was the very last Adventure Island game I've ever made. It's a piece of shit.
Why is it so bad?
It is really cheaply made. If you looked at it, you'd be like, "Wow, this looks like it was made by like Chinese pirates or something." You know what I mean? Like it looks like a janky game that was thrown together by somebody who stole the license. It's terrible. It doesn't play well. It looks like shit.
I think I heard about that actually. I remember seeing screenshots and it was like, ooh.
It looks awful. I bought it. I regret it. I mean, I have it because I have all the other Adventure Island games ever made, but it's the worst one by far. Not even close. It's terrible. And that's awful considering the one right before that was a really nice remake for the PS2 and GameCube. Very, very good game. And then the one before that was basically Super Adventure Island 2, which was a great game. So very disappointing for that one. But let's see. There was Dr. Mario Online RX, or Prescription. One of the best versions of Dr. Mario. Really good game. Excite Bike World Rally, which is really good. Now, I always liked Excite Bike as a concept, but when you go back and play it, it's a very simple game and there's not much to it.
Yeah, I think when we were at MagFest, I played the Excite Bike or a similar, like an arcade cabinet. I'm like, uh, this is very simple.
There's not enough to it.
Yeah.
There's only like 4 tracks, and you basically just compete for high scores, and that's it. Like for faster times, and that's it. This game adds a ton to it, and takes the original concept. So it's a really great play on it. Probably the best bike game ever. So it's really good. There are only a couple other ones. There's one for the BS satellite system on the Super Nintendo, and there's Excite Bike 64, and then there's the Excite Truck games and Excite Bots. Those games are a lot of fun, but I would call them spin-offs at that point. I love WarioWare games, and there is a heck of a really cool WarioWare game on there. At the time, they did a dual system thing on the original DS. There was this game called WarioWare DIY. So you can make your own WarioWare mini games. They give you clothes to do it. But they already have pre-made ones. They also came out with a counterpart on the Wii where you could play those games.
That's nice.
And put them on the TV. And also, there were ones that they showcased from famous people, like famous people made ones. Kenji Inafune would make one, and they would put that up. That kind of thing. So it was really neat, and it has its own content. So it's worth owning, even if you're not going to link it. And I was going to mention, these aren't exclusives, but they are better played on the Wii, or there was something special about them. So the first one is Sin and Punishment for the N64, the original Sin and Punishment, rather.
Yeah, which the West never got until, well, at first.
Correct. So this game is great, and it is way better on the Wii than it is on the N64. First of all, it gets rid of all the shortcomings of the N64 hardware, which I'm not a big fan of. Everybody knows that, but it has much clearer resolution. It doesn't have like that blur filter that every N64 game has. It has a faster frame rate, and the controls are way better. If you select the C method, it's like playing a game that was meant to be with dual sticks. It controls really freaking well, and it's in English.
Yeah.
Not only that, so I definitely recommend. Actually, I recommend playing every N64 game on the Wii or Wii U. A bunch of them are on the Wii U now, specifically, but they improve on their original versions, unless you're in love with the controller, which some people are.
Yeah, the one I'm probably most interested in is Ogre Battle 64, I think.
Yeah, that's on there.
Yep.
I was going to say that not many people are into the N64 controller because not many people have 3 arms.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a game called Euphoria, which was released in English only in like Finland. I talked about this game a little while ago when I talked about Mr. Gimmick and Flip World.
Oh, yeah.
This game got its first US release on Western console there. So definitely pick that up there. It's in English. It's a great Metroidvania style game. And this one is found on Xbox 360 too, but I figure I should mention it because it's special. Monster World 4, which is one of the best games for the Genesis. It's related to the Wonder Boy and Adventure Island series in some which way, and inspired the Shantae games. But this one is a really cool game, and they made an official English translation specifically for the Virtual Console release and the Xbox 360 release. So I felt like I should mention that, even though it's not an exclusive, it's still a special thing that we didn't really get much of. We got a specific localization of an old game Really great game as it is. And the last thing is, this is probably the only way to play this on the TV easily. The original Phoenix Wright trilogy is on the Wiiware
yeah, that's right.
service. The thing that I don't like about what they did here with this is that they charged a lot for them. Did
they charge them all separately?
Not only did they do that, but I don't know if you knew this or not, but the 3 games, there are three original Phoenix Wright games, but they were originally on the Game Boy Advance, if you remember right.
Yeah. And we never got those. I think we got them on the DS, right?
Correct. The DS games are technically remakes.
Yeah.
So in having that, the first game has an additional large bit of content added. It has an additional longer case, fourth case at the end. And it uses like specific stuff to go along with the DS's capabilities, using the stylus for certain things, highlighting certain things, that kind of thing. They have that, but you have to buy it separately. So you have to buy 4 things.
That's lame.
So it's like a DLC by the way, to the game.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's weak. By the way, I don't know how much you may care about this, but they redid the soundtracks as well. So if you're really into the original score, then get the original games.
Yeah, that's another part of the reason why I don't want the 3DS versions as much, because I actually really like the original animation, pixel art, and music. Like the new stuff might be good, but it's iconic to me.
Yeah.
So it might be like the animation might look more like a cartoon, but I like the way it looked aesthetically. It was very aesthetically pleasing to me, like the old way. It had charm to it. But needless to say, regardless, they're great games, and if you want them on the TV, that's basically the only way you're going to do it, unless you want to project them from an iPad. So,
yeah.
The last one is like my game of shame.
More like best game.
And I've mentioned this many times, and I'll mention it again. Stone Keep Bones of the Ancestors. If you want a complete piece of shit that's related to a very fun and decent game from my childhood, pick this up and give yourself a hemorrhaging headache.
No, seriously, I dare you to play like the first... play like 20 minutes of the original Stone Keep, and then play this Wiiware game and just see what happens.
This game is fucked. Everything about it is wrong. The motion controls just plain do not work and are way too complicated.
We've mentioned this before. Essential. Yeah, I was gonna say we've mentioned this before, but like you have to wave the Wiimote in a certain way to cast certain spells. And when you first learn a spell, they teach you. And they're like, we want you to do it 3 times, so we know that you have it. And Vice would be swinging it in ways that looked okay to me, but not only would the game say he was doing it wrong, but, like, he was doing, apparently the game read it as he was doing motions for a different spell. So it'd be like, oh no, not that spell. And Vice would be like, okay. And then he will try it again, and it would be like, oh no, not still a different spell. And I'm like, he messed up twice when he looked fine to me, and in different ways. Like, what? The game makes no sense.
The game is a piece of shit, and if you like pieces of shit and get enjoyment out of that, go right ahead. But Adventure Island at the beginning is right along with that.
I want to see a Let's Play of new Stone Keep so bad. Like, see who is willing to put up with it.
I'm more than willing to fall on that sword.
I'll
get so fucking frustrated.
I would love to Let's Play like level 1, but I really don't think I want to actually try beating the game. Like, no. Fuck that.
Like, this was a top 10 with subsections here, but I think I don't think I missed much here. These are all ones that are worthy of getting that version. Everything that doesn't mean there weren't plenty of other games for this that were fantastic, but a lot of them have been ported to other stuff, and you should get them on the thing where they're still updated. Like Cave Story. There was a great version of Cave Story on WiiWare, but you can get that anywhere now.
Well, yeah, they just released it for the Switch.
When is the Wiiware closing down? Like, when is it getting off the store?
March 30th.
Oh,
I
so
think. Yeah, we only have a little
2
bit
months.
of time.
Yeah, about that.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you're gonna be able to find emulators, but for those people who want the original, like they should get on that.
Yeah, let me look that up real quick. On January 30th. So no, we hit this at the right time.
Oh, so you have, instead of 2 months, you have 1 week.
Yeah, brutal.
Yeah, so definitely like buy everything you can. I'm going to buy all of the rest of the art style games because I don't have those quite yet. So I'll buy those. I'm not gonna buy Phoenix Wright, but almost all the rest of these I own. So, and we also wanted to talk about the Nintendo announcement, like out of the fucking blue.
So I don't have a Switch, and the more things that I see, the more I want to get it. I saw like a headline for this. Like, Nintendo's gonna make you want to play with cardboard again. I'm like, what's this silly thing? And I put off reading the article, but then I finally watched the video, and I'm like, I kind of need this. Like, it's so dumb, and it's so like ridiculous that they're basically selling pre-cut cardboard for like $80.
It's amazing.
I mean, I guess it comes with a game, but still, it looks so cool though. It's such a, and I think honestly, I know that Nintendo is never really trying to compete with PlayStation or Xbox, and that's why I really like it when they come up with ridiculous shit like this.
Yeah, so yeah. I was just gonna say, first of all, this is Nintendo Labo or Labo. So they are coming out with 2 different sets, and what they are they're basically like play sets, kind of like Legos or something like that, where you get a cartridge that corresponds with a bunch of stuff that you can do with cardboard punch outs.
Well, I think they give you, so like the variety set comes with, you can build all of the models at once. I don't think it's like you pick and choose.
There is some stuff that you can customize, but by and large, there are specific things they want you to do with it. One of them is you can make a remote control car, a fishing rod, a 3-key piano, which was awesome, a toy house, like all these things, and you can put various parts of the Switch in it, like the screen and the Joy-Cons. The one that I thought was awesome was that you could put one in this like stick-like figure, and like you can like basically shoot him with one of the Joy-Cons, and he like falls over. He like vibrates and falls over. It's so much fun. Some people were making fun of this. They're like, $70 for cardboard, but I really don't. I fell in love with it. Like, just watch the video.
Actually, what was kind of funny is I saw a counter meme to the, oh my god, charging so much for cardboard. What a stupid idea. That's never been done before. And it was just a picture of like Magic the Gathering cards.
Well, what's so funny is like they put tons of engineering time into this, and like put creative ways in which they could use what they have, and do all this cool stuff and bring this system to life, and also to program the games that go with them. So like I have absolutely no problem with it being that price, because it looks like it has a lot of fun mini games to go along with it. Once again, I think Nintendo does mini games the best. Their Street Pass games are great, and like all their minigame stuff.
That's why people loved like the Wii Sports and Wii Play and Wii Fit and all that stuff, because their small, simple games are amazing.
I can't agree more. They started off as a toy company. I mean, like a playing card company in reality, but they have a long history of being a toy company. Back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, before they made video games, and they kind of see themselves as a toy company in a lot of their design philosophies. They want to make something fun, not necessarily like top notch. And
probably the thing that comes to mind most for me, even though it's like not really popular, is Rob.
Yeah,
like he exists to play Gyromite, which is his function for it is mediocre and like barely has a point. But it's like, dude, I got a freaking robot that raises and lowers his arms. It's cool. There you go.
And he's my buddy.
That's right, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like they've just prided themselves in just like fun things. Like, I mean, even the Virtual Boy, as much of it is a failure, it's a toy. It's not
a clever
like,
idea.
Yeah, it's just poorly executed. But like they're like even the Game Boy, like you could think of it as a toy rather than like a video game system. I mean, it's both, but you don't think of it that your PSP or your Vita like that. They're kind of like a piece of tech.
Yeah.
And that's where I think they have their edge. They know this. That's why the Wii was so great. It's a great toy. But this robot shit, oh my god. Like, you saw the robot Labo, right?
Yes.
I think so, where he's like wearing it on his back and he's got the arms and legs.
Yep.
Yeah, like you basically stomp around as the robot and like you move your right arm and like it engages like a rubber band that flicks like the Switch controllers and stuff. It's awesome.
Think the most interesting thing is when I saw them take like the cover off the book bag, all like the strings and whatever going on. It's
so neat.
I have two thoughts with this. Is one, like, this is really cool, and
it's intricate.
If I got it, like, I'd love to put this together. But
yeah,
I'm wondering how young they expect to make this for, because I don't see young kids being okay with all these tiny pieces and like gears and levers and whatever they have to do.
It's made for older kids.
Yeah.
I also thought this. I was like, GameStop's gonna have a hard time taking these in.
Yeah.
a lot of pieces here, and I don't think they'll ever take this in. But it just looks like so much fun. I pre-ordered both of them immediately. I was just like all over this. This is just like, it brought a smile to my eyes. It was just like one of those things. It's like, oh man, I wish I had this when I was a kid. I mean, I get to have this when I'm an adult, but I would have loved this when I was 12 or whatever. It's just so cool. And I'm just glad that Nintendo also took the risk. This is something that really hasn't been done before. Like, hey, take our system and use it in a different way than we ever intended it to be. Like,
yeah.
And we're using its functions creatively. Like, there's a lot of vibration functions in those little Joy-Cons. They have like they vibrate in a like a 360 degree manner. Like, they have like 3D vibration is what they call it.
Maybe with the Labo they can finally allow you to make that res suit you've always wanted.
No, that's his. But it's just, it looks like a blast. I mean, Lotus, what do you think of this? I mean, Pyro and I have been talking about
it's
this.
really cool in principle, but I'm never gonna get it. I don't care enough to get it. I just want to sit down in a chair and just play my video games. Like, that looks really clever, and if I saw it at a friend's house, I'd be like, I'll try it, but like, it's not for me.
I mean, I'm a sucker for gimmicks. Like, I like VR. Like, I bought a PSVR right when it came out. Like, I loved the PlayStation Move. I didn't get a Kinect, but there were a couple things I was interested in. Now that Kinect's totally dead. But
yeah. You don't want to play Steel Battalion Kinect?
No.
I heard it was not good.
It's one of the worst games for that platform. And that's such a big fucking shame, because it was the game I was most excited for.
Well, yeah.
But I like this kind of stuff. I love, even if it's going to be trendy and go out of fashion and eventually not have much bearing on the system. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to mess around with and have friends over. I mean, it's kind of like having 1-2 Switch when you guys came over. It was worth it for that one time that we played.
Yeah, I feel the same about the Labo. Did I have fun playing 1-2 Switch? Absolutely. Would I buy it? No.
I think my thoughts too are, I'm worried that I don't have a Switch. I'm wondering if I should still buy this, because I don't know how long it's going to be in production for. And I'm not usually a person who does that.
Yeah, but this is something special. It's not like something you could buy used very easily, like somebody's used cardboard bits. You know what I mean? Like, it's like buying a paper airplane book that already had like a bunch of paper airplanes peeled out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, like it's definitely a rewarding thing to buy, and you know, like you said, who knows how long they'll make it, but like a cardboard piano, yes, sign me up. Like, I'm all about that.
You know what's funny is Nintendo had not really a game, but like the original NES or Famicom, I should say, had software for like teaching you how to compose music, like on a piano and things like that, didn't it?
Yeah, I think this is more like it's not.
Well,
really
that was more of a
like
tool than a
piano.
fun game. Yeah.
Yeah, this is meant for you to play like games with.
Yeah.
So I can't wait. I mean, I don't really much have to say other than I'm excited and I'm gonna talk about it once I get it. But I can't wait to build it too, like, because I like building like Gundam models and things like that.
And now you are the Gundam model.
Well, and Pyro likes that kind of stuff even more, so I can tell you that you're pretty excited about this kind of stuff. But I'm all over it. Definitely leave comments about this in the comments, because I want to hear what people are thinking. I know that there are some haters out there, but I don't know. I think they really don't know how to think like a kid. This is just like it's just so inventive and has a lot of like heart to it. To me, like very few products have heart. Like, you could tell somebody was very proud to put this together and it was having a lot of fun. Like, oh man, look at what I did. Like, can we include it? You know, like
yeah.
Like, I can only imagine like the designers having so much fun like making this. You know, so that's all I had to really say about that. I don't know if anybody has any closing remarks.
Not particularly. I mean, like, I'm really gonna actually want to look into getting some Wiiware games. Again, the Labo's cool. I'll look up pictures and video of it, but like, that's as far as I'll go.
Yeah, I'm gonna purchase my last Wiiware games while I can, and that'll be about it.
I have nothing to add either. I might be getting a Switch though.
Good for you. You won't be let down. It's really good, and a lot of the shmups on the system are really great. I know you like shmups too, so.
Yeah, and like I mentioned last week, I'm actually interested in getting a Switch for definitive Hyrule Warriors and Mario Tennis and Mario Odyssey.
And for redoing your Dark Souls stream. Let's play.
Yeah, fuck that. Although I'll get the PS4 version for that.
Yeah. All right, well, that's the show for this week. Please remember to subscribe to the Corrective Consciousness YouTube and SoundCloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. It helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Tuesday on our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, the podcast about our lives and pop culture. Finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on PSN, Xbox Live, Steam, Twitter, and Battle.net.
And you could follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, or even selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
And you can find me by listening to a previous podcast and listening to what I say there.
Whoa, shout out to our own podcast.
So be there. All right, guys. Catch you on Tuesday.
Until next time, everyone.
Bye.